The ocean roared with fury that day, waves crashing against the shore like nature's artillery. But Jake Matthews didn't hesitate when he saw the woman struggling against the current, her arms flailing desperately as the sea tried to claim her. He couldn't have known that saving Eliza Winters, billionaire tech mogul and one of the most powerful women in the world, would change both their lives forever. If you're wondering whether true love can transcend social barriers and if fate really does bring the right people together at the right time, stay with us until the end for a revelation that will warm your heart. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories that remind us of the power of human connection. Jake Matthews stood on the beach, watching his 7-year-old daughter Lily build an elaborate sandcastle. The September sun was warm on his shoulders, a welcome respite from the chaos of the past year. Since losing his wife to cancer 18 months ago, these peaceful moments with Lily had become his sanctuary. "Dad, look! I made a moat!" Lily called, her face lighting up with pride. Jake smiled, his heart swelling. "That's amazing, sweetheart. The best castle on the beach for sure." The small beach near their home in Newport, Rhode Island was relatively empty this late in the season. Most tourists had gone, leaving only locals and a few stragglers enjoying the last warm days before fall fully settled in. Jake's attention was drawn to a woman walking along the shoreline. Something about her seemed out of place, her posture too rigid, her gaze too distant. She wore simple jeans and a light sweater, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Despite her casual appearance, there was an unmistakable elegance to her movements. When she waded into the water, Jake felt a flicker of concern. The currents here could be treacherous, especially for someone unfamiliar with the area. He watched as she ventured deeper, seemingly oblivious to the danger. "Lily, stay right here, okay?" Jake said, suddenly alert. "I need to check something." The woman was chest-deep now, and Jake could see she was struggling against the ripped current that was pulling her further out. Without hesitation, he sprinted across the sand and dove into the waves. The water was colder than he expected, but years of competitive swimming in college had prepared him for this. He cut through the waves with powerful strokes, reaching the woman just as a large wave crashed over them both. "I've got you!" he shouted over the roar of the ocean. "Don't fight the current. We'll swim parallel to the shore." The woman's eyes were wide with panic, but she nodded, allowing Jake to wrap his arm around her waist as he navigated them through the churning water. It took all his strength to guide them safely back to shore, where they collapsed onto the wet sand, both gasping for breath. "Thank you," she managed between coughs, water dripping from her hair. "I didn't realize." "Dad!" Lily came running toward them, her small face pinched with worry. "Are you okay?" Jake pulled himself to his feet, offering a hand to the woman. "We're fine, Lily Pad. This lady just needed a little help with the waves." The woman accepted his hand, her grip surprisingly strong despite her ordeal. "I'm Eliza," she said, her voice steadier now. "And I'm extremely grateful for your help." "Jake Matthews," he replied. "And this is my daughter, Lily." Eliza smiled at Lily, who was studying her with unabashed curiosity. "Hello, Lily. That's a beautiful sandcastle you've built. Do you want to help us finish it?" Lily asked, social as always. "Dad says we need to add seashells for decoration." Jake started to apologize for his daughter's forwardness, but Eliza's face softened. "I'd love to, if your dad doesn't mind." And so, still dripping with seawater, Eliza joined their sandcastle construction. Jake couldn't help but notice how quickly she connected with Lily, listening intently to his daughter's elaborate stories about the imaginary people who would live in the sand fortress. There was something refreshing about Eliza, a genuineness that seemed at odds with her obvious intelligence, and the hint of refinement in her speech. She didn't mention what had brought her to the beach alone, or why she'd ventured so far into dangerous waters. Instead, she focused entirely on the present moment, laughing with Lily and occasionally meeting Jake's eyes with a smile that made his heart skip. As the afternoon waned, Jake invited Eliza to join them for hot chocolate at the small beachside cafe. She accepted with a warmth that suggested she was in no hurry to leave their company. Over steaming mugs, Jake learned that Eliza was in tech and had come to Newport for a break from work. She asked about him, and he told her about his job as a high school physics teacher and coach of the swim team. He didn't mention Sarah's death, but something in his manner must have revealed his loss because Eliza's eyes held a depth of understanding that went beyond mere sympathy. When it was time to part ways, Eliza hesitated. "I'm staying in town for a few days. Perhaps I could thank you properly with dinner tomorrow night? Both of you, of course," she added, smiling at Lily. Jake found himself accepting before he could overthink it. They exchanged phone numbers, and as Eliza walked away, Lily tugged at his hand. "I like her, Dad," she said simply. "She doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby." Jake watched Eliza's retreating figure. "Yeah, she seems nice." What Jake couldn't have known was that Eliza Winters, walking back to her rented cottage, was making a phone call that would have shocked him. "Marcus, I need you to clear my schedule for the next week," she said to her assistant. "And no, don't send the jet. I'll let you know when I'm ready to return." Marcus, accustomed to his boss's occasional need for privacy, didn't question why the CEO of Winter Technologies, a company valued at over $80 billion, was extending her unannounced sabbatical in a small coastal town. The dinner the following evening was at a modest local restaurant that Jake had chosen, unaware that his guests could have bought the entire establishment without blinking. Eliza arrived in simple jeans and a blouse, her only concession to luxury a pair of small diamond earrings that had belonged to her grandmother. Over the next few days, a pattern emerged. Eliza joined Jake and Lily for beach walks, ice cream outings, and even a trip to the local aquarium. She never mentioned her wealth or status, and Jake never thought to Google his new friend. In his world, people were defined by their character, not their bank accounts. What Jake did notice was how Eliza's presence filled a void he hadn't fully acknowledged. She was thoughtful with Lily, engaging with Jake, and brought a lightness to their days that had been missing since Sarah's death. For her part, Eliza found herself drawn to Jake's unpretentious strength and the genuine love between father and daughter. On the fifth day, as they walked along the beach at sunset while Lily collected shells ahead of them, Eliza finally opened up. "I came here to escape," she admitted. "My life in San Francisco is complicated. Full of people who want things from me." Jake nodded, understanding more than she realized. "After Sarah, my wife, died, I felt like I was drowning in expectations. Everyone had opinions about how I should grieve, how I should raise Lily." Eliza's hand found his, a gesture of solidarity that felt perfectly natural. "How did you handle it?" "One day at a time," Jake said, watching Lily skip ahead. "I focused on what mattered, her happiness, our memories of Sarah, building a new normal." "You're remarkable, Jake Matthews," Eliza said softly. "Most people spend their lives chasing things that don't matter, but you seem to have figured out what does." Jake turned to her, struck by the vulnerability in her expression. "What matters to you, Eliza?" She looked out at the horizon, where the sun was painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. "I'm still figuring that out. But this week has given me some clarity." Their first kiss happened naturally that evening, after Lily had fallen asleep on the couch during a movie night at Jake's modest home. It was gentle and questioning, both of them aware of the unlikely connection they'd formed and uncertain of where it might lead. The bubble burst the next morning when Jake, preparing breakfast, glanced at the newspaper Lily had brought in from the porch. There, on the business section, was a photo of Eliza in a sleek business suit, standing in front of the Winter Technologies headquarters. The headline read, "Tech billionaire Eliza Winters mysteriously absent during crucial merger talks." Jake stared at the paper, coffee forgotten, as pieces fell into place. Her vague descriptions of her work, her perfect manners, the way she sometimes seemed to be holding back parts of herself. When Eliza arrived an hour later for their planned hike, Jake was waiting on the porch, the newspaper in hand. "Were you ever going to tell me?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. Eliza's face fell as she saw the paper. "Jake, I can explain. You're one of the richest women in the country, possibly the world, And you let me take you to a restaurant where the special was $15.99 meatloaf. To his surprise, Eliza laughed, though her eyes remained anxious. That meatloaf was excellent, for the record. Jake couldn't help but smile, though confusion still clouded his features. Why the secrecy? Eliza sat beside him on the porch steps. When you pulled me from the ocean, you didn't know who I was. You helped me because that's who you are. And then, with Lily in the sandcastle, it was the first time in years someone wanted nothing from me except my company. She took a deep breath. I was going to tell you, but each day it became harder. I was afraid everything would change. Jake was quiet for a moment, processing. So what happens now? You go back to your billion-dollar company and your life in San Francisco, and Lily and I become a vacation memory? The pain in his voice was unmistakable, and Eliza reached for his hand. Is that what you think I want? I don't know what to think, Jake admitted. Our worlds couldn't be more different. Maybe that's exactly why this works, Eliza said. Jake, I've spent my adult life building a company that connects people through technology, but I've never felt as connected as I do with you and Lily. Inside, they heard Lily stirring, calling for her dad. The conversation paused, reality intruding. I need time to think, Jake said finally. This is about more than just me. Eliza nodded, understanding the weight of his responsibility to Lily. Take all the time you need. I'll be at the cottage until Sunday. The next 2 days were the longest of Jake's life. He talked with Lily, carefully gauging her feelings about Eliza. He called his sister for advice. He even visited Sarah's grave, sitting beside the headstone as he sorted through his conflicted emotions. On Sunday morning, he made his decision. He and Lily walked to Eliza's rented cottage, finding her on the porch with a cup of tea, her suitcase visible through the open door. We thought you might need help packing, Jake said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Eliza stood, hope and uncertainty battling in her expression. Jake, before you say anything, he interrupted, I need you to know that it won't be easy. I'm a high school teacher with a mortgage and a daughter who needs stability. Your life is board meetings and private jets. And? Eliza prompted, a smile beginning to form. And I think we should figure it out together, Jake finished. If you're willing to try. Lily, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly spoke up. Dad says you might come visit us a lot. And maybe we could visit you sometimes too. Eliza knelt to Lily's level, her eyes shining. I'd like that very much. In fact, I've been thinking about opening an East Coast office for my company. Newport has some lovely views. Jake raised an eyebrow. You'd relocate your company for this? Eliza stood, moving closer to him. Not the entire company. Just enough of it to justify spending more time here. The rest can be managed remotely, at least part of the time. You've thought this through, Jake observed, a smile tugging at his lips. I'm a businesswoman, Eliza replied. Finding solutions is what I do. Their second kiss was witnessed by a giggling Lily, who declared it gross but also kind of nice. 6 months later, Eliza's cottage had become a permanent residence, and Winter Technologies had indeed opened a small but significant research facility in Newport. Jake continued teaching, refusing Eliza's offer to pay off his mortgage, a boundary she respected, understanding his need for independence. Their relationship wasn't without challenges. Jake had to adjust to the occasional intrusion of paparazzi, and the reality of dating someone whose net worth had more zeros than he could comfortably contemplate. Eliza had to learn the rhythms of family life and the art of being present in a way her high-powered career had never demanded. But in the moments that mattered, Lily's school performances, quiet evenings on the porch, early morning walks on the beach where they'd first met, they found a balance that worked. Their different worlds had collided by chance, but they chose to build a new one together, day by day. 1 year after Jake had pulled Eliza from the waves, they stood on the same beach, watching Lily construct an even more elaborate sandcastle. Jake turned to Eliza, taking in the contentment on her face. Any regrets? He asked, only half joking. Eliza shook her head, squeezing his hand. Only that I didn't get caught in a rip current years ago. As the sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in colors no technology could replicate, Jake reflected on the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. A billionaire and a teacher, united by a moment of courage and the shared understanding that the most valuable things in life couldn't be measured in dollars. Sometimes, the most unexpected rescues work both ways. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Remember that love finds us in the most unexpected places, and sometimes, the most meaningful connections come when we're not looking for them at all. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and tell us about unexpected meetings that changed your life.